Okay. What do you think makes a good coach? Well, some of you feel that winning or losing determines how good of a coach is. Knowing more about a coach and what a good characteristics of a coach is will better define a great coach. I feel that if you continue to listen and you understand that winning or losing isn't all to being a good coach, then hopefully we'll see kids staying in school or staying in the sports longer, staying out of trouble, as well as making bonds and memories that will last a lifetime. I was a competitive gymnast for a few years. I stayed with the same coaches since I was 4 up until my senior year. They were some of the greatest people that I have known. They were there for me through the thick and thin, whether I was falling on my butt all the time or I was sticking every turn. They did not care if I went to competitions and won or lost. All they cared about was that I had fun and enjoyed doing what I was doing. I'm now a coach at Precision with the same coaches, so if that tells you something, then, they were the best coaches ever. For this presentation, I would like to share with you, what a coach is, what characteristics a good coach should have, and one of my most favorite successful coaches. So before I start talking about the good characteristics of a coach, I would like to talk to you about what coaching is. The organization of the term coaching started in the later part of the 1880s. There are several different definitions of the word coach when you look it up. The Merriam-Webster dictionary stated that coach was defined as to instruct, direct, or prompt as a coach, and then another one was defined as above. When you think of those terms, it literally basically states exactly what a coach is, but there's more meaning to just those simple words. What goes into coaching? There's a lot that goes into coaching. Coaching is not just coaching. The coaches are responsible for training the athletes and making them reach the full potential that they are known to be able to reach. And it's also to give them key tips on how to make things better, as well as guiding and providing encouragement. But they are also responsible for guiding the athlete in not only the gym, but as well as life. Coaching is not for everyone. Coaching is just for certain people who are willing to give it all for their kids and truly love doing what they're doing. So now that we have kind of touched on what a coach is, I would like to talk about some of the key characteristics of a coach. There are several key characteristics of a coach. Some people label a coach as good or bad by defining if they win or lose. But this is not a good way to define whether a coach is good or not. The head coach of the Chicago Bears and of the New Orleans Saints, his name was Mike Ditka. Oh my gosh, sorry. Once said that success isn't measured by money, power, or social rank. Success is measured by discipline and inner peace. This is exactly right. We shouldn't label a coach by, they're winning all these trophies, or they're winning this, or we should label it by what they're doing in order to reach that success. You can have a football team that's filled with amazing athletes, but then have a terrible coach and still win. Or you can have kids that are not as athletic or trained, athletic in their ability, but that they are coachable, and you can coach them to be one of the best teams in the world. Most good coaches are able to understand the individual differences of an athlete. When you're a coach, you have to understand that not all kids are the same. You're going to have kids that face adversity and handle criticism differently. As well as they're going to have different personalities, and that they're going to learn at completely different rates than other kids. Dr. Alan Goldberg said that these coaches take time to get The coaches that take the time to get to know each athlete's individual differences and styles, then they hand tailor what they say to and how they treat this athlete to achieve maximum coaching effectiveness. They know that while one athlete may respond well to a hard edge and raised voice, this approach may totally shut another one down. Which that's exactly, you can't yell at one, as me as a coach, I can yell at one kid and say, hey, you need to do it, and she's going to turn around and do it. But then if I yell at another kid, they're going to break down and they're going to shut down and not do anything the rest of the practice. So I have to know that, okay, hey, I can yell at her, but then I have to sit down and talk nicely with her, and then, so if you're able to do that, then you're a good coach. But great coaches also don't get defensive about constructive criticism. You're going to get constructive criticism. You're going to give and you're going to get constructive criticism as a coach. There's going to be parents who are going to come up to you and say, hey, you're doing this wrong. You need to do this. And, you can't just, you have to be respectable, and you can't just be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You have to, talk to them and be like, okay, yes, ma'am, I understand, and then you will reach a certain part of respect with your parent, and they're going to respect you even more. As well as when you're giving constructive criticism, you have to be able to give them give them a correction, but not just yell at them. If you just yell at them, it's going to be really hard for them to listen to you, because and then if you're being mean, like, nobody wants to listen to you when you're being mean. So if you can come about it in a nicer way and say, you're doing this, but then also you're doing this wrong, but hey, you're also doing this right, which can balance it out and make them still feel like they're doing what you want them to do. Another thing is, as a coach, you must be able to maintain the excitement and motivation levels in practice. You can't be too strict on them all the time and take away from the fun of the sport. They fell in love with the sport because they love it, and they want to. And if they're just getting yelled at 24/7, it's going to take away the fun of it. Or if you're just telling them, no, we're just going to be conditioning, we're not having any fun today, then they're going to be like, wow, what am I even doing here? I don't love this sport anymore. According to the poll from the National Alliance for Youth Sports, around 70% of the kids in the United States are playing organized sports by the age of 13. They quit the sport because they feel that it's just not fun anymore. Which that's not, I feel like that's one of the most awful ways for a kid to go out of a sport, is because they just feel like it's not fun anymore. It's the fun of it is for you to truly have fun with the kids, create a bond with them, make them want to come to the gym, make them want to always be participating in the sport that they've known their whole life. So, now that we've kind of touched on talked about the characteristics of a good coach, I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite gymnastics coaches, who I feel was one of the most successful of the Georgia Gym Dogs. Her name was Suzanne Yocklin. She was the University of Georgia's head coach gymnastics coach. During her time, the Gym Dogs won 10 NCAA national championships and 5 consecutive national championships in her 5 years as head coach. The 5 were consecutive. They were back to back to back to back, which is amazing. Ever since then, Georgia has not won that many national championships. She made the teammates feel like it was their home, and that the teammates, they literally and truly loved one another like they were family. To conclude, as long as you can do what it takes to be a successful coach, then nothing can stop you from reaching the top. While we have discussed what coaching is and learned what a characteristic a great coach has, and is related to several coaches, so now that you understand what it takes to become a great coach, you will now be able to grow in your coaching and hopefully impact all your athletes in some way. Just remember that great coaches are not just those coaches who win or lose.